We've spent the last few nights here at one of the best anchorages we found in Norway, enjoying some crazy unseasonably warm weather. Even though we'd like nothing more than to just stay here, relax for a while longer, our goal is much further north and we need to push on.
So we raise the anchor and say goodbye to Lofoten. We're heading to Tromsø before our attempt at crossing the Barents Sea to Svalbard and hopefully stopping at the island of Bjornoja on the way. As we continue northeast, we leave the dramatic mountainous backdrop of Lofoten behind us. Though now different, the scenery is still nothing less than remarkable, and Norway continues to amaze us.
This heatwave is forecast to continue for another week or so. Temperatures have been around 25 degrees centigrade so far, and in the next few days it's predicted to get even warmer. It seems absolutely crazy, as currently back in Scotland, which is well over 1,000 miles south from here, it's only 12 degrees today. It's just gone midnight, and at this time of year, this is as low as the sun gets at this latitude.
It might not look like we're really moving much here, but we're actually making over 5 knots through the water. We had a strange light breeze of around 7 knots at the top of the mast, which was staying off the surface of the sea and left it almost totally flat calm. I still find it a bit weird how close you can get to the shoreline and the fjords and the channels between these islands and skerries. We're less than 10 metres from the rock here, and yet there's still over 100 metres of water under the keel. And though this area is well charted, we're still not taking our eye off the depth reading. Some of the areas on the approach to Tromsø were pretty tidal, with 4 to 5 knot currents, so we timed our arrival to make the most of this and avoid any unpleasant surprises. Since leaving Lofoten, our fridge had packed in. I knew the problem was a faulty control unit and was tempted to order another, but we'd had difficulty with getting other post, and the fact that the average temperature in Svalbard in July and August is only supposed to be around 7 degrees centigrade, we figured we could do without it.
While in Tromsø, we finally collected some parcels that had seemingly done a global circumnavigation before finally finding us, and we checked out with immigration at the local police station.
I had a quick visit to the hardware store to get some more wooden planks for fender boards, and I bought a long pole for use as a Bergy bit pokey stick, and both came in very useful.
We did some food reprovisioning, but Svalbard's tax-free, and we've been informed that things there are actually cheaper than the mainland Norway, especially the booze, so we didn't go crazy. We had a quick check of the hull under the water to make sure everything looked okay, gave the rig and steering quadrant a thorough inspection, and we felt about as ready as we were going to be. Checking the forecast, there was a possibility of a weather window in the next few days that could enable us to get to Svalbard. So we decided to move as far north as possible to be as close and as ready as we could be for when the wind started to fill in.
The plan was to leave Tromsø and head 50 miles further north to the small fishing village of Torsvag. We'd use this as a staging post as we waited for the wind to take us the 250 nautical miles to Bjornoja and then on to Svalbard. This would definitely be the last time we'd be doing any barefoot sailing for a while.
All stations, this is Norwegian Coastal Radio North, with occupation on our main traffic channels.
Torsvag is a small commercial fishing dock with not much else going on, other than a few cabins set up for people wanting a pretty hardcore fishing holiday. There's no store of any kind here or any other fuel available, so provision before you arrive if you're planning to wait here to head further north.
We tried to prepare the boat and ourselves the best we knew how for what we'd anticipated to be one of the most difficult passages we were going to undertake. The forecast was for light winds for the next 2 days, then 2 days of calm, followed by 3 to 4 days of stronger southwesterlies, which was perfect for what we wanted to do. The Barents Sea is notorious for being a potentially tricky crossing. Due to it being a convergent area for several different currents and weather systems, this combination of effects means that the waves can meet at different angles, making for rough seas and uncomfortable sailing. Due to the long period of fine weather we'd just had, this was thankfully not our experience, and for the first 2 days at sea, we had light winds and calm water.
Like most people, when we're sailing, we generally see quite a lot of dolphins, especially when we're offshore. Yet no matter how many dolphins I see and however long they decide to stay playing at the bow, I never get bored of watching them. How could you ever get bored of watching dolphins?
Once we got to within 25 miles of Bjornoja, the wind started to ease a little and the fog descended. This got to be quite heavy, with visibility down to less than 50 metres for a while. We came across this Coast Guard vessel, and there were also a few fishing boats in the area, none of which had their AIS turned on, so we had to keep a very close eye on the radar.
As we approached the island, it was encased in a cloud and revealed itself like a scene out Lord of the Rings. As we got closer, the fog cleared and within 10 minutes it had all disappeared. It was a fittingly dramatic reveal for this rugged Arctic island, especially as we hadn't seen land for a few days.
We anchored in a bay on the southeast side of the island that was well protected in anything other than a southerly, but it's surrounded in cliffs with loose rock, so we needed to venture out in the dinghy to go and explore. The island was named by the explorers that landed here over 400 years ago and were greeted by polar bears on their arrival. There's not been a bear sighted in summer here for over 20 years, but they still do venture this far south in the winter, in the years that the pack ice reaches the island. We've not heard of any reports of bear sightings this year, but the island's over 10 miles long and we don't have a gun for protection, so we'll still be keeping an eye out.
There's been quite a few commercial operations established here over the years, from coal mining to fishing and whaling stations, like the remains of this one that was abandoned about 100 years ago. The only thing that's still here is a small weather and communication station on the north shore that's permanently manned with 2 to 4 people. As bleakly beautiful as it is on a day like this, I can imagine that spending the winter here in isolation would certainly be difficult.
This part of the Arctic is warmer in comparison to other areas at the same latitude, and this is partly due to the effect of the Gulf Stream and the constant ocean current that comes through from the North Atlantic. That same current also carries with it any detritus that's floating or suspended in the water on the way. We know of 2 vessels with crews of 6 or more that have conducted beach cleanups around here in the last few weeks. One specifically on this very beach, so that's why there's thankfully not many big pieces of rubbish, but as you can see, there are lots of gradually smaller pieces still hanging around. A lot of those large pieces that wash up will be pretty localised stuff from fishing vessels in the north of Norway, though the gradually broken up pieces, specifically the plastic items, they'll just continue to grind down into those smaller and smaller bits and potentially end up in the food chain or as soil contamination. Hopefully you can see here that a large part of this identifiable crap is from single-use plastic packaging, and wherever your overall views are on ocean and environmental pollution, I just wanted to show you that this stuff is here and some of it has travelled thousands of miles to get here.
The whole island is designated as a nature reserve, and the sea cliffs run from the south to the northwest corner. A large part of the area has restrictions on access to within 1 mile offshore for boats over 12 metres. The Coast Guard does monitor vessels in the area and they're very strict on enforcing this. We met a boat that was slapped with a £2,500 fine for cutting the corner on the southern tip and encroaching into this restricted area.
As predicted, 2 days later, the wind started to fill back in, and as soon as it hit 12 knots, we set off to complete the remainder of our journey to Svalbard. Though we did pick up a stowaway for a while that seemed to be in need of a rest.
Oh, it scared the shit out of him. Just right above your head. Oh, hello.
In the next video, we continue the remaining 250 miles to Svalbard, where we get to use our Bergibit pokey stick and go in search of polar bears.